Hi, welcome back to my channel, Living Lean Six Sigma. This is part 2 of the A&P Airframe section sheet metal and non-metallic structures, continuation. Question. Refer to this figure. Which of the rivets shown will accurately fit the conical depression made by a 100-degree countersink? Answer. The first one. Just a little bit of math. The angle between the head and the shank of rivet 1 is 130 degrees on each side, which is 260 degrees on both sides. The angle formed by the rivet head is 100 degrees. 360 degrees minus 260 degrees, which is the standard angle for the cutter in an aircraft rivet countersink. Question. Which is correct concerning the use of a file? Answer. Apply pressure on the forward stroke only, except when filing very soft metal such as lead or aluminum. To prevent undue wear on the file, when filing any metal other than lead or soft aluminum, apply pressure only during the forward stroke. Relieve the pressure during the return strokes. Question. What is one of the determining factors which permits machine countersink when flush riveting? Answer. Thickness of the material is greater than the thickness of the rivet head. Question. When repairing a small hole on a metal stressed skin, the major consideration in the design of the patch should be? Answer. The shear strength of the rivet joint. When repairing a small hole in a metallic stressed skin, the rivet should take all the stress from the skin and carry it into the patch. Question. Which procedure is correct when using a reamer to finish a drilled hole to the correct size? Answer. Turn the reamer only in the cutting direction. If the direction of reamer motion is reversed, the reamer will be seriously dulled. Question. Repairs or splices involving stringers on the lower surface of stress skin metal wings are usually? Answer. Permitted, but are normally more critical in reference to strength in tension than similar repairs to the upper surface. So when the lower surface of the wing is under tensile strength in flight, these repairs are more critical with regards to tensile strength than repairs to the upper surface. Question. When straightening members made of 2024-T4, you should? Answer. Straighten cold and reinforce. If a structure member made of 2024-T4 aluminum alloy is bent, it should be straightened cold and then reinforced. Question. Clad aluminum alloys are used in aircraft because? Answer. Have surface layers of pure aluminum or aluminum alloy bonded to the core material to inhibit corrosion. Question. Which statement is true regarding a cantilever wing? Answer. No external bracing is needed. Question. Aircraft structural units such as spars, engine supports, etc., which have been built up from the sheet metal are normally? Answer. Repairable using approved methods. Question. A factor which determines the minimum space between rivets is the? Answer. Diameter of the rivets being used. Question. What should be the included angle of a twist drill for hard metal? Answer. 118 degrees. That's 118. That's 59 degrees on either side of center. Question. Parts fabricated from Alclad 2024-T3 aluminum sheet stock must have all, answer, scratches, kinks, tool marks, nicks held to a minimum. Question. The monocoque fuselage relies largely on the strength of, answer, skin or covering. Question. Which parts of a semi-monocoque fuselage prevents tension and compression from bending the fuselage? Answer. Longerons and stringers. In a semi-monocoque fuselage, the primary bending loads are taken by the longerons, which usually extend across several points of support. The longerons are supplemented by other longitudinal members called stringers. Question. Rivet gauge or transverse pitch is the distance between, answer, centers of rivets in adjacent rows. Question. Rivet pitch is the distance between, answer, centers of adjacent rivets in the same row. Question. Refer to this picture. Select the preferred drawing for proper countersink. Answer, the first one. Question. What is indicated by a black smoky residue streaming back from some of the rivets on an aircraft? Answer. Fretting corrosion is occurring between the rivets and the skin. An extremely small amount of relative movement between the rivets and the skin allows the oxidized to be rubbed off the rivet and to the surface of the rivet hole. It acts as an abrasive, wearing off more oxides. These loosened oxides work their way out between the skin and the rivet and resemble smoke streaming out from the rivets. Question. The identifying marks on the heads of aluminum alloy rivets indicate specific alloy used in the manufacturing of the rivets. Question. When an MS20470D, as in Delta, rivet is installed, its full shear strength is obtained, answer, only after a period of age hardening. This type of rivet is an icebox rivet. It must be heat treated before it is driven. After it's driven, it age hardens. Gets hardened over time, I guess. Question. Which of the following needs not be considered when determining minimum rivet spacing? Answer. Rivet length. The length of the rivet does not enter into the determination of the minimum rivet spacing. The diameter and the type and thickness of the materials do. Question. What is the purpose of refrigerating 2017 and 2024 aluminum alloy rivets after heat treatment? Answer. To retard age hardening. Makes sense. Storing rivets at the cold temperature retards their aging process and allows time to elapse between their heat treatment and their being driven. Question. Under certain conditions, type A rivets are not used because of their, answer, low strength characteristics. These are commercially pure aluminum rivets and they're not used for aircraft structures because of their low strength. Question. A rivet set used to drive MS20470 rivets should, answer, have a slightly greater radius than the rivet head. The rivet set used to drive AN470 or MS20470 universal head rivets should have a radius slightly larger than the radius of the rivet head. The larger radius allows the hammering action of the rivet gun to be directly on the crown of the rivet. Question. Heat-treated rivets in the D and double D series that are not driven within the prescribed time after heat treatment or removal from refrigeration, answer, must be reheat treated before use. There is no specified number of times they may be reheat treated. Question. The dimensions of the MS-20 430 AD Alpha Delta -4-8 rivet are, answer, 1/8 inch in diameter and 1/2 inch long. The first dash number in the rivet identification gives the rivet diameter in 1/32, so 4/32 inches. The second dash number gives the rivet length in 1/16 inch. 8/16 is a half. Question. The primary alloy agent of 2024-T3 is indicated by the number, answer, 2. The primary alloy agent in 2024 T36 aluminum alloy is copper, which is identified by the first digit 2. Which part of 2024-T3 aluminum alloy indicates the temperature designation? T3. Answer, T3. To provide a visual means of identifying various grades of aluminum alloy. Additionally, letters, designations, and the basic temperature designations are subdivided. You're going to have to look that up. Question. Which part of the 2017-T36 aluminum alloy designation indicates the primary alloy agent used in its manufacturing? Answer, 2. Question. A sheet metal repair is to be made using 2 pieces of 0.040 inch aluminum riveted together. All rivet holes are drilled for 3/32 inch rivets. The length of the rivets to be used will be, answer, 1/4 inch. This problem calls for joining 2 pieces of 0.40 inch material. The total thickness of this material is 0.080, which is 80 thousandths inch. The rivet should protrude through the material for 1.5 diameters, which is about 964 inches. The total length of the rivet must be 0.080 plus 0.1406, or which is 0.2206 inches. The nearest standard rivet to this length is 1/4 inch, which is 0.250. So I guess you round up. Question. Most rivets used in aircraft construction have, answer, dimples. Question. MS-20 426 AD Alpha Delta -6-5 indicates a countersunk rivet which has, answer, an overall length of 5/16 inch. The first dash number is 1/30 seconds, and the second is out of 1/16. Question. Which rivet may be used as received without further treatment? Answer, 2117-T3. This is known as an AD rivet. It may be driven as received without further heat treatment. Question. Refer to this figure. Which is the grip length of the flush rivet? Answer, C, which is 3. So it's the top head of the rivet to where it meets the end of the material. Question. Which rivet should be selected to join two sheets of 0.32 inch aluminum? 0.032 inch aluminum. Answer. MS 20470 AD-4-4. The two pieces of material to be joined have a total thickness of 0.064 inch. The rivet used with this metal should have a diameter of about 3 times the thickness of the thickest sheet. This would cause us to choose a rivet with a diameter of 3 times 0.032 inches, which is 0.096 inches. The closest rivet to this is one with a diameter of 1/8 inch, which is about 1.25 inch. I'm sorry, 0.125 inch. A 1/8 inch rivet should extend through the material for 3/16 inch, or 0.1875 inch. Total length of the rivet must be 0.046 plus 0.1875. That equals 0.2515 inch. Question. A sheet metal repair is to be made using two pieces of 0.0625 inch aluminum riveted together. All rivet holes are drilled for 1/8 inch rivet. The length of the rivet is to be used will be, answer, 5/16 inch. Each of these two sheets materials to be riveted together has a thickness of 0.0625 inch. Total thickness is 0.125 inch. The 1/8 inch rivet should extend through the material for 1.5 diameter, which is 0.1875 inch. The total length of the rivet must be 0.3125 inch, which is 5/16 inch. Question. Mild steel rivets are used for riveting. Answer, steel parts. Question. A double D rivet is heat treated before used to, answer, soften to facilitate riveting. Double D or 2024-T rivets are heat treated with the T designation. Question. When riveting dissimilar metals together, what precaution must be taken to prevent an electrolytic action? Answer. Place a protective separator between areas of potential electrical difference. You can place a non-conductive separator between the two surfaces that prevents the migration of electrons between the areas of electrodes potential difference. Question. The length of a rivet to be used to join a sheet of 0.032 inch and 0.064 inch aluminum alloy should be equal to, answer, 1 1/2 times the rivet diameter plus 0.096 inches. Question. What is generally the best procedure to use when removing a solid shank rivet? Answer. Drill to the base of the manufactured rivet head with a drill one size smaller than the rivet shank and remove the rivet with a punch. Insert a pin punch into the hole and pry the head off, then use the pin punch to drive the rivet shank from the skin. Question. Joggles in removed rivet shanks would indicate partial, answer, shear failure. A joggle offset in a shank of a rivet that has been removed from a damaged aircraft structure indicates the rivet joint has failed in shear failure. Question. What type loads cause the most rivet failures? Answer, shear. Rivets are designed to be used in joints loaded in shear only. Question. Which rivet is used for riveting magnesium alloy structures? Answer, 5056 aluminum. It helps prevent corrosion and yeah. Question, which rivet is used for riveting nickel steel alloys? Answer, Monel. Monel rivets are used for riveting nickel steel alloys. Question, the length of rivet to be chosen when making a structural repair that involves the joining of 0.032 inch and 0.064 inch aluminum sheet drilled with a number 30 drill is, answer, 5/16 inch. The two sheets material together has a thickness of 0.096 inch. The rivet installed is in a number 30 hole and is a 1/8 inch rivet. Should extend through the material to a distance of 0.1875 inches. The total length of the rivet must be, you add those two together, 0.2835. The nearest standard rivet length to this is 5/16, which is 0.3125. So rounding up. Question. Refer to this figure. The length of a flat A is, answer, 3.750 inch. The length of flat A, right here. What you do is you subtract the radius of from the 4 inches. Okay, refer to the same figure. The amount of material required to make the 90-degree bend is, answer, 0.3436 inch. What you use is the formula 2 pi parentheses r plus 1/2 t over 4. Question. Refer to this figure. What is the length of flat A? Answer, 3.7. Question. Refer to that same figure. What is the flat layout dimension? Answer, 6.8 inches. So the flat is 3.688 inches and the flat B is 2.688 inches. And then using the bend allowance formula, it's 0.441 inch. So the total layout dimension is, you add those three together and it's 6.817 inches. So the closest, you're going to round down, which is 6.8. Question. If a streamlined cover plate is to be hand formed using a form block, a piece of dead soft aluminum should be placed over the hollow portion of the mold and securely fastened in place. The bumping operation should be, answer, started by tapping the aluminum lightly around the edges and gradually working down into the center. Remember that the object of the bumping process is to work the material into shape by stretching it rather by forcing it into a form with heavy blows. Always start bumping near the edge of the form, never start in the center. Question. A piece of flat stock that is to be bent to a closed angle of 15 degrees must be bent through an angle of, answer, 165 degrees. So 180 degrees minus 15 degrees is 165 degrees. A closed angle is an angle that has been bent beyond 90 degrees. Question: when a piece of aluminum alloy is to be bent using a minimum radius for the type and thickness of material, answer: the layout should be made so that the bend will be 90 degrees to the grain of the sheet. For the greatest strength in a bent piece of material, the layout should always be made so the bend will be perpendicular to the grain of the sheet. Question: the flat layout or blank length of a piece of metal from which a simple L-shaped bracket 3 inch by 1 inch is to be bent depends upon the radius of the desired bend. The bracket which will require the greatest amount of material is one with a bend radius of, answer, ½ inch. If we assume the metal thickness is 0.063 inch, the bracket having a 1/8 inch bend radius will need 3.865 inches of material. So the bracket having ½ inch radius will need only 3.704 inches of material. The bracket having a 1/4 inch radius will need 3.811 inches of material. So that's 1/8. Question: if it is necessary to compute a bend allowance problem and bend allowance tables are not available, the neutral axis of the bend can be, answer, found by adding approximately 1/2 of the stock thickness to the bend radius. A neutral axis is not in the exact center of the thickness of the material or the stock. But for all practical purposes, the neutral axis of a bend can be considered to be on the bend radius plus 1/2 of the stock thickness. Question: unless otherwise specified, the radius of a bend is, answer, inside radius of the metal being formed. Question: the sharpest bend that can be placed in a piece of metal without critically weakening the part is called the, answer, minimum radius of bend. It's also known as the minimum bend radius. Question: the most important factor needed to make a flat pattern layout are, answer, radius, thickness, and degrees of bend. Question: a piece of sheet metal is bent to a certain radius. The curvature of the bend is referred to as, answer, bend radius. Question: you can distinguish between aluminum and aluminum alloy by, answer, testing with a 10% solution of caustic soda. This solution, when applied to material, reacts with copper in the alloy and forms a dark spot. Question: the purpose of a joggle is, answer, allow clearance for a sheet or an extrusion. Question: when bending metal, the material on the outside of the curve stretches while the material on the inside the curve compresses. That part of the metal which is not affected by either stress is, answer, neutral line. Question: refer to this figure. Determine the dimensions of A, B, and C in the flat layout. Answer, B. Yeah, you're going to have to look in the book on this one. This one's page 27. Okay. And the next question, it refers to the same picture and it's asking for dimension D. Answer 4.182. Question. The sight line on a sheet metal flat layout to be bent in a cornice or box break is measured and marked. Answer. 1 radius from the bend tangent line that is placed under the break. What you do is you draw a sight line inside the bend allowance that is 1 bend radius from the bend tangent line and placed under the break. Sight down vertically over the edge of the radius bar and place this slight line directly in line with the edge of the radius bar. In this position, the bend tangent line is at the beginning of the radius. Next question. Refer to figure and what is the dimension of F? Answer 5.936. This is on page 28. Okay. Question. On a sheet metal fitting layout with a single bend, allow for stretching by, answer, subtracting the setback from both legs. When laying out a sheet metal fitting having a single bend, the setback must be subtracted from the mold line length of both the legs. Question. The aluminum alloy used in aircraft construction are usually hardened by which method? Answer, heat treatment. Next section, welding. Question. In gas tungsten arc GTA welding, a stream of inert gas is used to, answer, prevent the formation of oxides in the puddle. The puddle is molten metal. Question. Which statement best describes magnesium welding? Answer. Filler rod should be the same composition as base metal. When welding magnesium, the filler rod must be of the same composition as the base metal and one prepared by the manufacturer to fuse with this alloy. Question. Which statement best describes magnesium welding? Answer. It can be welded successfully using the same type of joints that are used for aluminum. Question. Which statement is true in regards to welding heat-treated magnesium? Answer. The welded section does not have the strength of the original metal. A welded section of heat-treated magnesium cannot have the strength of the original metal until the entire part is age heat treated. Question. The oxyacetylene flame. Oxyacetylene. If I'm butchering that, please comment down below. So question, the oxyacetylene flame for silver solder should be, answer, neutral. Question, why is it necessary to use flux in all silver soldering operations? Answer, to chemically clean the base metal of oxide film. A film of oxide on the metal will prevent the silver solder from coming into intimate contact with the base metal. Question. Engine mount members should preferably be repaired by using a, answer, large diameter tube with fish mouth and rosette welds. The preferred repair to a weld steel tubular engine mount is one using a tube with large diameter whose ends are cut with fish mouth slipped over the damaged tube. Rosette welds are used to secure the outer tube to the inner tube. Question: what method of repair is recommended for a steel tube longeron dented at a cluster? Answer: welded patch plate. A patch plate may be welded over the steel tube longeron that is dented at a cluster. Question: welding over brazed or soldered joints is? Answer: not permitted. These metals will weaken the welded joint. Question: which statement concerning soldering is correct? Answer: joints in electric wire to be soldered should be mechanically secured prior to soldering. Question: a resurfaced soldering iron cannot be used effectively until after the working face has been? Answer: tinned. The iron is heated and immediately the entire surface is coated with solder to prevent the formation of oxides on the copper. This is tinning. Question: which of the following can normally be welded without adversely affecting strength? Answer: SAE 4130 chrome molybdenum tubing. Molybdenum tubing. All right. Question: in selecting a torch tip size to use in welding, the size of the tip opening determines the? Answer: amount of heat applied to the work. Question: why should a carburizing flame be avoided when welding steel? Answer: it hardens the surface. It adds carbon to the puddle so the weld is capable of being hardened more than the surrounding metal. Question: the most important consideration when selecting welding rods is? Answer: material compatibility. Question: when selecting a welding rod, one of the most important factors to consider is to ensure that? Answer: the proper AMS specification number is used. Question: the oxyacetylene flame used for aluminum welding should? Answer: be neutral and soft. The flame for welding aluminum should be neutral and soft and slanted at an angle of approximately 45 degrees to the metal. Question: a very thin and pointed tip on the soldering copper is undesirable because it will? Answer: cool too rapidly. Question: filling or grinding a weld bead is considered to be? Answer: a way to bring about strength reduction in a joint. Weld should never be filled or ground to present a smooth appearance, as the removal of added filler material will reduce the strength of the joint. Question: acetylene at a line pressure above 15 psi is? Answer: dangerously unstable. Under low pressure, a normal temperature acetylene is a stable compound, but when it is compressed, it's just PV equals nRT, when you add pressure. Okay. Question: cylinders used to transport and store acetylene. Answer: contain acetone. When acetylene gas is dissolved in acetone, it can safely be stored under pressure. Question: a welding torch backfire may be caused by? Answer: a loose tip. Okay. Question: Which statement concerning a welding process is true? Answer: The inert arc welding process uses an inert gas to protect the weld zone from the atmosphere. Question: Where should the flux be applied when oxyacetylene welding aluminum? Answer: Painted on the surface to be welded and applied to the welding rod. Painted on the surface of the weld. Question: What purpose does flux serve in welding aluminum? Answer: Minimizes or prevents oxidation. Question: Why are aluminum plates 1/4 inch or more thick usually preheated before welding? Answer: Reduces internal stresses and assures more complete penetration. Question: How should a weld torch flame be adjusted to weld stainless steel? Answer: Slightly carburizing. Carburizing a flame with a slight excess of acetylene is recommended for welding stainless steel. Too much acetylene will add carbon to the metal and cause it to lose its resistance to corrosion. Question: Oxidizes form very rapidly when alloys or metals are hot. Excuse me. It is important, therefore, when welding aluminum to use a answer: flux. Question: In gas welding, the amount of heat applied to a material being welded is controlled by answer: size of the tip opening. Question: When welding or cutting, the acetylene pressure gauge should never be set higher than answer: 15 psi. Question: Oxygen and acetylene cylinders are made of answer: steel. Question: High pressure cylinders used to transport and store acetylene must answer: contain acetone. Acetone absorbs approximately 25 times its own volume of acetylene and allows the cylinder to be charged to a pressure of 250 psi without the acetylene becoming unstable. Question: When a butt weld joint is visually inspected for penetration, answer: 100% of the thickness of the base metal. Question: Annealed of aluminum, answer: remove stresses caused by forming. Question: Edge notching is generally recommended in butt welds above a certain thickness of aluminum because its answer: aids in getting full penetration of the metal and prevents local distortion. All butt welds and materials over 0.125 inch thick are generally notched in some manner. Question: If too much acetylene is used in the weld of stainless steel, answer: the metal will absorb carbon and lose its resistance to corrosion. Question: The shielding gases generally used in the gas tungsten arc (GTA) welding of aluminum consists of answer: helium or argon, or a mixture of helium and argon, which are neutral gases. Next section: assembly and rigging. Question: The auxiliary tail rotor of a helicopter permits the pilot to compensate for and/or accomplish which of the following? Answer: torque and directional control. Question: The vertical flight of a helicopter is controlled by, answer, collective pitch changes. Question. A reduction in anti-torque thrust will cause the, answer, tail to pivot in the direction of the torque rotation around the main rotor axis. On a single rotor helicopter with an anti-torque tail rotor, the torque of the main rotor tends to rotate the fuselage in a clockwise direction as viewed from above. The tail rotor compensation for this by attempting to rotate the fuselage in a counterclockwise direction. Decreasing the pitch of the tail rotor allows the torque of the main rotor to rotate the fuselage in a clockwise direction about the main rotor axis. Question. In rotorcraft external loading, the ideal location of the cargo release is where the line of action passes, answer, through the center of gravity at all times, CG. Question. The acute angle formed by the chord line of a wing and the relative wind is known as, answer, angle of attack. Question. A helicopter in forward flight cruise configuration changes direction by, answer, tilting the main rotor disc in the desired direction. Question. The purpose in checking main rotor blade tracking is to determine the, answer, relative position of the blades during rotation. Question. In a hovering helicopter equipped with a tail rotor, directional control is maintained by, answer, varying the pitch of the tail rotor blade. Tail rotor blades produced by the tail rotor maintain directional control of a hovering helicopter, and I guess it also produces thrust. Question. If a single rotor helicopter is in forward horizontal flight, the angle of attack of the advancing blade is, answer, less than the retreating blade. The angle of attack of the advancing blade, which is the blade moving in the same direction the helicopter is traveling, is less than the angle of attack of the retreating blade. The difference in the angle of attack between the two blades compensates in the difference of the airspeed of the two blades and provides uniform lift around the rotor disc. It prevents dissymmetry of lift. Question. Main rotor blades that do not cone by the same amount during rotation are said to be out of, answer, track. Question. One purpose of the freewheeling unit required between the engine and the helicopter transmission is to, answer, automatically disengage the rotor from the engine in case of an engine failure. The freewheeling unit in a helicopter rotor system automatically disengages. The freewheeling unit allows the engine to drive the rotor, but if the rotor speed ever becomes greater than that of the engine, the freewheeling unit prevents the rotor driving the engine. So you don't want to surpass that. Question. Which statement is correct concerning torque effects on helicopter? Answer. Torque direction is the opposite of rotor blade rotation. Question. What is the purpose of the freewheeling unit in a helicopter drive system? Answer. It disengages the engine from the main rotor when engine RPM is less than the rotor RPM. Engine RPM, rotor RPM. Question. Movement about the longitudinal axis, which is roll, in a helicopter is affected by the movement of, answer, cyclic pitch control. Question. Movement about the lateral axis, pitch, in a helicopter is affected by movement of the answer. Cyclic pitch control. Cyclic pitch control. Question. Wing dihedral, a rigging consideration on most airplanes of conventional design, contributes most to stability of the airplane about its answer. Longitudinal axis. Question. Other than the manufacturer maintenance manual, what other document could be used to determine the primary flight control surface deflection for an imported aircraft that is reassembled after shipment? Answer. Aircraft Type Certificate Data Sheet. This is issued by the FAA, regardless of its country of origin, includes the amount of... Okay. Question. If a pilot reports that an airplane flies left wing heavy, this condition may be corrected by answer. Increasing the angle of incident of the left wing or decreasing the angle of incident of the right wing, or both. Question. If the vertical fin of a single engine propeller driven airplane is rigged properly, it will generally be parallel to answer. The vertical axis, but not the longitudinal axis. Question. An airplane which has good longitudinal stability should have a minimum tendency to answer. Pitch. Question. As the angle of attack of an airfoil increases, the center of pressure will answer. Move towards the leading edge. The center of pressure of an asymmetrical airfoil moves forward as the angle of attack increases and backwards as it decreases. The center of pressure of the symmetrical airfoil does not move as the angle of attack changes. So it's symmetrical versus asymmetrical. Question. The angle of incidence is that acute angle formed by answer. A line parallel to the wing chord and a line parallel to the longitudinal axis of the aircraft. The angle of incidence is the angle formed between the line parallel to the chord and to the longitudinal axis. The British definition of angle of attack is the same as the American definition for angle of incidence. Question. An airplane's center of lift is usually located aft of its center of gravity. Answer. So that the airplane will have a nose-heavy tendency. Question. An airplane is controlled directionally about its vertical axis by the answer. Rudder. Question. The elevators of a conventional airplane are used to provide rotation about the answer. Lateral axis. Question. Washing in the left wing of a monoplane for purposes of rigging correction after flight test will have what effect on the lift and drag of the wing? Answer. Both drag and lift will increase due to the increased angle of attack. Question. What type of flap system increases the wing area and changes the wing camber? CAMBER. Answer. Fowler flaps. Fowler flaps slide out and downward from the trailing edge of the wing. When lowered, they increase the wing area as well as the wing camber. Question. If the right wing of a monoplane is improperly rigged to a greater angle of incidence than designated in the manufacturer's specification, it will cause, answer, airplane to be off balance both laterally and directionally. Question. The chord of a wing is measured from, answer, leading edge to trailing edge. Question. When the lift of an airfoil increases, the drag will, answer, also increase. This is dependent upon the same aerodynamic forces. Boom. Question. What physical factors are involved in aspects ratio of airplane wings? Answer, span and chord. Span is the length, chord is the width. Question. Improper rigging of the elevator trim tab system will affect the balance of the airplane about its, answer, lateral axis. This is the longitudinal trim of the aircraft. Question. An airplane that has a tendency to gradually increase a pitching moment that has been set into motion has, answer, poor longitudinal stability. An aircraft with good or positive or static longitudinal stability automatically generates a restoring force anytime it pitches, either nose up or nose down. If the amount of pitching increases, the airplane has a dynamic longitudinal instability. This is poor longitudinal stability. Question. The purpose of wing slats is to, answer, reduce stalling speed. A wing slat allows aircraft to fly at a higher angle of attack before it stalls. Question. The angle of incidence of an airplane at rest, answer, does not change when in flight. The angle of incidence is a fixed angle between the chord line and the wing and the longitudinal of the wing and the longitudinal axis of the airplane. Question. Buffeting is the intermittent application of force to a part of the airplane. It is caused by, answer, an unsteady flow from turbulence. Buffeting is an intermittent application of force on aircraft surfaces. Question. Movement of an airplane along its lateral axis, roll, is also movement, answer, around or about the longitudinal axis controlled by the ailerons. Question. The primary purpose of stall strips is to, answer, stall the inboard portion of the wing first. Stall strips are small triangular wedges fastened to the leading edge of the wing in the root area. They cause the wing root to stall before the tip. This allows the pilot to have aileron control during stall. Question. Rigging and alignment checks should not be undertaken in the open. However, if this cannot be avoided, the aircraft should be positioned with the, answer, nose into the wind. Question. The correct dihedral angle can be determined by, answer, using dihedral board and bubble level along the front spar of each wing. Question. The dihedral angle of a wing may be measured by placing a straight edge and level protractor on the, answer, front spar. The rear spar is not used because if there is any twist in the wing, it would not give a true indication of the dihedral. Question. Where would you find precise information to perform a symmetry alignment check for a particular aircraft? Answer. Aircraft service or maintenance manual. Question. Where is the buttock line or butt line of an aircraft? Answer. A width measurement left or right of and parallel to the vertical center line. Question. Where is fuselage station number 137 located? Answer. 137 inches aft of the zero or fixed reference line. Question. Proper wing twist in a sheet metal constructed wing can usually be checked by utilizing a answer, bubble level and special fixtures described by the manufacturer. So this is a difference between the last question. This one has sheet metal. The other one is dihedral using a straight edge. Question. The vast majority of aircraft control cables are terminated with swaged terminals that must be, answer, checked with a go-no-go gauge before and after to show compliance with the manufacturer's requirements after swaging operation. That's the thing you twist on. Question. What non-destructive checking method is normally used to ensure the correct amount of swaging has taken place when installing swage-type terminals on aircraft control cable? Answer. Use a terminal gauge to check the diameter of the swaged portion of the terminal. So after a cable terminal has been swaged onto an aircraft control cable, the diameter of the terminal barrel should be checked with a go-no-go gauge. The gauge mentioned here is a two-step, determines the correct diameter. All right, I'm calling it. See you in the next video for part 3, continuing the study guide. Thanks so much.